So I was born in St. Petersburg, Russia, and I'm a transgender man. That means I was assigned female at birth, and I'm transitioning to be perceived as a male.
What age were you? How old were you when you found out that you just wanted to transition?
At the age of 12, but even before that, when I was a child, I could feel that something was off. It's like my mind was disconnected from my body. I did not feel like I actually belonged in my body. My family is very conservative. They do not think gay people should exist at all. So I kind of knew that me telling them would not end well. I had the conversation with them. The first time I brought it up was years ago, maybe like 2016 or something. And they kind of disregarded it as a joke. I feel like when I fully came out to my mother and I told her that I want to start hormones, I have mentioned that my therapist is supportive of me, that people who have higher education in psychology understand that these things are normal. And that's how she found out. And that's why she wanted to sue her, which thankfully ended up not happening. But if she would have done it, then there's a huge possibility that the therapist would have gone to jail because it would have been considered gay propaganda to supportive of your client coming out. Yeah.
I can imagine there's a big shortage of LGBTQ friendly therapists. Probably not a
Yeah,
lot
but
of
I think
um,
in places like Moscow and St. Petersburg, the situation is a bit better. But if you are from a small town in Russia, it's basically impossible to find a therapist that will be supportive of you.
what the experience is like to be transgender person in Russia.
So if people find out, even if they're not gonna harm you, they're gonna bully you a lot, which is the reason why most trans people in Russia they end up committing suicide if they don't manage to make it out of the country. All of my friends are either well, back in Russia. All of my queer friends they either are in the closet or they have fled Russia as well. When in 2020, I was seriously thinking about going on hormones then, and it caused this like huge fight basically. And my family told me they're not gonna talk to me anymore if I do end up doing it. I still have not told my family that I am currently in the process of taking HRT. It's a hormone replacement therapy.
Mhm.
So I'm taking testosterone as a trans male, and I've been on HRT for 3 months now. If you go to Russia now, it's a completely different place compared to what it used to be. There are a lot of brainwashed people there. You can see a lot of cars with the Z letter on them,
Mhm.
which is the Z letter is the symbol of supporting the Russian army in this war.
Mhm.
So I think seeing all these people, I would get really upset and triggered every time I left the house. I would feel like I'm surrounded by a bunch of Nazis, basically. Yeah, which is in this situation, it's how it is. It's very similar to what happened in the 20th century. So I think with me having to exist in that climate, I knew that uh, I basically had no will to live when I was there surrounded by those people. In some of Putin's speeches, he often mentions that they are fighting against the Western world that wants to promote untraditional values. And he often mentions that gay people are one of the reasons why we should keep going with this war.
Mhm.
So I think every gay person who is still in Russia is being villainized, and it puts them in even more danger than before.
What can potentially happen? to somebody like you know, if you stayed in Russia?
With me, it's a bit different because people would have to know about my identity. Obviously, now that I'm transitioning, I'm starting to grow facial hair. My voice is starting to get lower. So, in a couple of months, I will very much look visibly queer. But for someone who is, let's imagine, like a feminine gay man, he every time he leaves the house, he has to deal with people staring at him, people harassing him, uh, and it's like that for most gay people in Russia. I actually know someone um, who was attacked near a gay club in Russia, and when they went to report the incident to the police didn't do anything because because of all the details that was given to the police that it was a gay club, that it was a
Hmm.
hate crime based on sexuality, so they basically refused to do anything about it. Yeah, it's very common. I knew that I had to start my transition in a country that would be safer for me, because once I start going through these changes with my body, with the way I look, it's better if it's in a place that where I know I'm not gonna get harmed for it. So my journey started in Mexico. I flew to Tijuana, and there I stayed at the Casa de Luz shelter. It's a shelter for LGBTQ plus people who want to cross the border to ask for political asylum. They have lawyers coming to this place who are able to give legal advice and to help people who want to ask for asylum.
Hmm.
Uh, so from there, I have crossed the border, uh, and I was in San Diego at first for a couple of days, and then I went to Los Angeles because I knew that Los Angeles is one of the best places for queer people.
Yeah.
I knew a couple of people, but they weren't my friends yet. They are my friends now, but back then we were just internet acquaintances.
How's your family? How they processing the fact that you left the country?
I think they are okay with it, more or less, because they know that I was very unhappy there. So here, finally, I can feel like a person again. I have the energy to do things, to talk to people. And back when I was living in Russia, I was in this like constant hermit mode, you know. So I didn't want to see anyone. I didn't want to talk to people. And back in Russia, I wasn't able to present masculine. I wasn't able to use masculine pronouns, in fear of people harming me because of it. And here, I'm able to be my authentic self. I'm able to dress the way I want, to talk the way I want. I love it here.
Love it here.
I feel like the people are very welcoming. They don't really care about what other people do to their bodies, how other people act. Basically, yeah, you can walk across the street wearing maybe something more like revealing or bright or something that catches the eye, and people are just not gonna look at you. They don't care, basically.
Hmm.
So you feel way more secure to actually express yourself. You feel way more secure to take any career paths you would want to take, because a lot of time in Russia, people are very judgmental of the way you want to live your life. For example, if you don't want to have kids, you don't want to have married, in Russia, you are considered mentally ill for it. But here, you can choose your own life, you can choose the way you want to get things done, and most people will be supportive of it. I'm very into literature, poetry, and sometimes every now and then I like to write myself. Uh, Also, I like going out to museums, different places. There's a lot of places to go here.
And the weather is so different compared to St. Petersburg.
Yeah, but this year it's been rainy a lot,
Hmm.
actually, which makes me think we brought the bad weather to LA. But yeah. So everyone I have spoken to about this have told me that this is the coldest year they have ever seen in Los Angeles. I think going back to the brainwashed people, the living conditions in Russia are very poor, especially if you are from a smaller city. So people basically, the only thing they have money for is food. Sometimes they don't even have the money for to buy food, to buy groceries and stuff. And when people have to survive, they become very narrow-minded, and it's easier to push propaganda onto them. So in a way, I don't blame those people because I can understand that they have been forced to believe there is this like huge enemy. They see the West as the enemy. They need to believe in having the enemy and to have someone or something to blame in their situation.
Mhm.
But I just wish these people would open their eyes and see that the enemy is the government and not something that exists on another continent, and not gay people who just want to live their life, who want to marry each other and adopt children, which is great because there are a lot of children abandoned by their families. Um, the families which usually abandon their kids in Russia have alcohol use or drug problems.
Mhm.
So those kids need new homes, and there are a lot of families who could potentially flourish from uh, gay marriage being accepted and not being prohibited, who could take care of those children. So, by accepting gay people, nothing terrifying is going to happen, really. And I don't really know why those people want to villainize us in particular, but going back to them living in these conditions and them having to survive on a salary that is not proportionate to the amount of money things cost in Russia. Because, for example, if you compare groceries and clothes, for example, the cost in, let's say, Germany and in Russia it's the same or even higher sometimes, but the salary is like 5 times lower. So people really do have to make ends meet in order to survive. And when you are in this mindset of constantly thinking about survival, you can't really think in a more broad way. So I would want to go back to school to keep studying finance, which is what I was studying before. And then I, if my family ends up reconciling with me in the future, I would really want to bring my mother here, so I can uh, feel secure knowing that if something happens, I could help her, because I'm not able to go to Russia under any circumstance, and I would not want to go there. But if one of my family members died, there's like nothing I could do about it. I could not attend their funeral. If one of them is sick, I would not be able to fly over and help. So my ideal plan would be to bring my family here and then to have a career, a very calm, fulfilling life.